How's everybody doing? So I have a new video for you guys. This is going to be an awesome one. And I'm talking about today basically is going to be a topic that, I feel like needs to be addressed more in America, especially with a young generation coming in. But first things first, like I said, you have to have the three things. Open-mindedness, you want to seek truth, and also, you gotta want to improve. Anyway, but getting into that, that's just the precursor. I'm going to probably disclaimer, just to let you know that you need to have these qualities in order to have or see transformation in your life. But ADHD, I feel like, is a big problem that's been, I guess, growing in America, as you see people, abusing the drugs, now they're even more pushed on people, people are, I guess, seeing them more and more on college campuses. However, one thing I would say that needs to be addressed, the underlying issue of all of these things is there are a few components. I feel like ADHD, not everyone has the same brand. You're going to find people who, for example, might have the hyperactivity, some others, all these variations in it. But, at the end of the day, though, it's all stemming from the way that your mind is thinking, the way your mentality, your worldview. And, the one thing that you got to understand here is that your worldview, everything about you is generated from within, even your looks. You see somebody who looks open-minded, you can spot from a crowd of people, and normally they have the type, it's stereotypical, of course, but you can, kind of guess what's going on in their head, by their look and their gestures and the way they're talking to you. But, ADHD here is mostly just whenever, but ADHD basically, it's more, well, if you look on the online dictionary, I looked on Google, typed it in, and it says an anti-pattern, the state of overanalyzing, overthinking. I'm sorry, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's not ADHD. This is what I'm going to address as the underlying issue. Analysis of paralysis, or, you people may have heard that, paralysis analysis, where you're thinking of things, you can't stop thinking, you're always bouncing back and forth between ideas only because just, you see something in there, you're overthinking, your gears are going, and you're spinning, and you're listing off all these ideas that are correlated. But, I feel like that's actually one of the big issues when it comes to, the working memory, which is part of your brain, which stores your short-term memory. That's being overworked, And, so, for example, this person is all the time fluctuating between his focus without any kind of control. Okay, that's just the base problem. But I think even further down beneath all of that is something else. And this problem here, I would say, is, I know from myself, personal experience, I always had, situations where I'm just stuck not knowing what to do at all. I'm just sitting there trying to figure out, okay, I'm down there to figure out what to eat for breakfast, all the time, all these decisions that really at the end of the day, though, are meaningless. But you only see that once you set aside your mental biases and allow your mind to actually see a full picture. Most people, I think, are their mental bias won't let them see past a certain view because they don't want to change the way they are. They think that the way they are is no, don't probe me, don't try to push me into any direction. So now you have people who are basically stuck in a kind of mental pattern. But you can break through this, I feel like. And one of the biggest issues that I would address is guilt and shame in society. I'm not trying to blame society on everything, but the way you cope with society is the blame. The way your attitude is something you can choose, and most people choose negative attitude, and they end up probably seeing no results in their life, and they're probably ending up seeing no future in sight. But guilt is one of those things where you feel bad for acting on something. Say you lied to somebody or stole some bought some cash sitting on a counter or something. You're going to feel guilty. However, shame is even more pervasive, and this is where I say the stem of a lot of ADHD, cases in America. But basically, man, I hate this. I hate when I forget this. That's okay. That I'm gonna keep chugging on and keep going. But basically, it stems from just shame. Sorry. Say for example, I think I have a really big nose. In my head, I always think I have a big nose. But there could be multiple things wrong with me at this point. But my shame will invade my head with intrusive thoughts throughout the day. That say that someone looks at me weird. Oh shoot, they saw my nose. That's what I probably would think. If I was suffering from the shame or some sort of shame that you're going through, or guilt, or I guess you would say sin, or whatever you want to call it. And this is like I feel like the root cause, because now you have someone in doubt. When someone's in doubt, they're gonna fluctuate thoughts all the time, never even knowing what's right. That's kind of where I stood in a long period of my life, until finally I realized every time I see a situation where I realize that it can end up, I can end up having these analysis paralysis situations. I always ask, should I feel guilty for this? And normally, it's like, okay, I come to the conclusion, I think I'm doing the right thing here, I'm going to keep going, and that's how you should feel about it. But if not, you're going to end up just suffering intrusive thoughts throughout the day, But one thing I will say is my next topic here is, could it possibly be something, greater, or some next evolutionary step from that? I feel like I had to go through a whole long time in my life where I was going through shit, it was terrible. I had struggles to overcome just like everyone else has. But I think that after you finally overcome issues like guilt, shame, and try to tackle the way your brain thinks, then you just kind of get a sense of what you really are and who you really are as a person. So I hope that this is a. But what I would say though is like working memory, working online and everything. Normally everyone has it going on, daydreaming for example, or just thinking, your working memory will be distracted from the task at hand, and it'll be put on to something else you choose. Normally people choose. It's 25 to 65%, that's basically, the ranges of how often it's used per day, But, one thing I would say, after, conquering a lot of my doubts and insecurities, and a lot of my shame, I guess, I feel like my working memory now, I'm able to like do two things at once. For example, so I can listen to music, enjoy some music while reading a book at the same time, only because I'm used to diverting my attention and switching around all the time, from my long years of just doubt. I used to stutter back in the day, terrible stutters, just like randomly throughout the day if I was feeling like under pressure. And as I got older, I stuttered less and less. And my speech got a little better and better, but I feel like the most pervasive thing about that was just my when I was a kid I was bullied pretty hard, I guess physically bullied, like when I was living back in New Jersey, back in the city. Come down South Carolina here, and people were treating me much nicer. However, in my head I still had these very, very bad, self-image. I had very low self-esteem, very low, actually. I was pretty submissive as a guy. I was normally the guy that people laughed at. Oh, Kelvin did that. Ha, 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 let's laugh at him. Or anything that I did, or said I did, was a joke to everybody. No one respected me. And, but as I tackle these issues like that, I realized more and more about myself, I guess, and I tackle and handle my insecurities and doubts, I always seem to end up, conquering, to the next level. I say there's like a progression to the next step in line, and that first step, for most people, will probably be to remove the bias. A lot of times, your bias of reality will shape your whole way of seeing the world. Say, for example, you think that fairies exist, you're always going to be looking for a way to validate the way that you think, that your bias of the worldview. And most people have a bias in their unless they actually have introspection or actually think hard about their actions or what people are doing to them. Like, so for example, to me, I would always be the guy who's every girl that I had some, oh great, she wants to hang out with me, I hang out with them. A week later, they're gone. Stuff like that happened to me all the time growing up. my friends would always laugh. You know, like I said, I was always a submissive guy. I was always that guy who was, oh, but he's nice though, that kind of thing. Oh, you're sweet, Kelvin. But that stuff here. Anyway, that's going back to that, and I feel like now, I even conquering myself, girls, treat me the way that I think I should be treated. Like, for example, well, one important thing is the way that you think is most likely going to be projected. Your bias will be projected in the world. Say, for example, this is why we have religious conflicts, maybe, actually, I know that's why we have religious conflicts, where people just can't get past their bias. They think that the world is this way, it has to be this way. Anyone else who disagrees with them, he will eradicate everything around, so that way his bias of life can prosper. However, once you remove that bias, a lot of times people will crumble. It'll make you or break you. It could be either you take care of your insecurities, and you try to, and want to improve. You want truth, and you try to uncover what's really gonna happen. Or you have people who are just like, no, I'm the way I am. I don't want to stay the way I am. I don't want to change. You should change for me, which is why we have a lot of these currently social justice groups stepping up and saying, hang on, they fail to still stand up for themselves. I feel like for me, I was a very submissive guy. I know what it's like to be at the bottom. And I know a lot of guys at the bottom, nice guys. I know what they're thinking. Every single time I talk to them, it's like, oh, let me guess. You probably think that, for example, and this is kind of getting off topic here, but I always ask this to certain nice guys. Let me guess, you probably think that girls who are attractive all know they're attractive, stuff like that. And then it's just funny because they don't even, I guess, take into consideration, the aspect of it, It's like, their world bias is just so wrong, that it's hard for them to see past that, But once you see past that, it's not so bad, For me, the first jump, into, uncertain territory, man, the way I think is definitely wrong, That was after, a couple of girlfriends, I was like, man, why is the same thing happening? And then I finally just addressed myself as an issue. And I realized there's just me, there's the way I am, the way someone else is. But anyway, that's just another whole off-topic kind of thing here. But back to the main issue here, I think that, just having control of, say you have overactive imagination because, you have your whole life, if you go through a struggle in life, you're definitely going to come up with, you're going to have these symptoms, I think. But, then after you get control of your working memory and you finally have the ability to choose, your ability is strong. My ability to focus is strong. I can do 2 or 3 things at once, without feeling too woozy. I can, that's manageable. I can still do one thing at the same time too. But, I just want everyone here to, take this information or advice as to consideration, in your day. If you're feeling like you're going through a lot of ADHD symptoms or possibly anxiety, there's a lot of symptoms that we have a name for them, but then we give them medicine, we give them pills. But, I feel like this is like, there's a mentality behind each illness as well. But have a good day and nice talking to you. Thanks for watching my video.